The sky above the mining colony was dark with heavy clouds. A cold wind blew across the rocky ground. This colony was far from Earth, on a rough planet where many people worked hard every day. The colony was a small group of buildings and machines, where humans and some aliens worked together. Today was like many other days, but no one knew something would change everything. Kira was not like others in the colony. She was an alien warrior from a distant planet. Her skin was light green and her eyes were sharp. She was tall and strong. Many in the colony respected her for her courage and skill. Kira worked as a protector of the workers. Her job was to keep them safe from dangers in the mines. She had been trained to fight and survive in tough places. That day, Kira was patrolling near a deep cave. The miners had found rich minerals there. It was important to check the area before the workers went inside. Kira moved carefully, her feet steady on the rocky ground. Suddenly, the earth shook. A loud crack echoed through the cave. Rocks began to fall from above. Kira tried to run, but the ground gave way under her. Huge stones and dirt crashed down, trapping her under the rubble. She felt the weight of the rocks pressing on her body. Her arms and legs could not move. She was stuck deep underground. The air was cold and thin. Kira tried to breathe slowly and stay calm. Above the cave, a human miner named Tom was working nearby. Tom was a simple man with strong hands and a kind heart. He had come to this colony to find work and a new life. Tom was not very tall, but he was brave and smart. When he heard the loud crash, he stopped what he was doing. He looked towards the cave and saw dust rising from the entrance. Tom ran quickly to the cave. He called out, "Hello, is anyone there?" He waited, but no answer came. Tom saw big stones covering the entrance. It looked dangerous to try to move them. He knew machines could clear the rocks, but they would take time to arrive. Time was important if someone was trapped. Tom did not want to wait. He looked around and found a small metal tool near his bag. It was a spoon. It was not made for digging, but it was the only tool he had. Tom started to dig carefully at the edge of the rubble. The stones were heavy and sharp. Every movement was slow and hard. Sweat ran down his face, but he did not stop. Inside the darkness, Kira heard the soft sound of digging. It gave her hope. She tapped on the stones with her fingers, trying to make noise. Tom heard the tapping and smiled. He knew she was alive. "I am here," he said softly. "I will get you out. Just stay strong." Kira closed her eyes and tried to control her breathing. She thought about her family and her people. She remembered the lessons of her teachers, who told her to never give up. The darkness was scary, but she was a warrior. She would survive. Her mind stayed clear even when her body was tired. Tom kept digging with the spoon. His hands hurt, but he was careful not to hurt Kira. The miners around the colony watched him and shook their heads. Some said it was useless to dig with a spoon. Machines were better for moving heavy rocks. But Tom did not listen. He believed that every small effort counted. Night came and the sky turned black. Tom brought a small light to the cave. The glow helped him see better. He talked to Kira to keep her calm. "You are brave," he said. "We will get through this together." Kira felt comfort in his voice. She was alone in the dark, but not forgotten. The colony sent a message for help. Big machines and other workers were on their way, but it would take hours to reach the cave. Tom decided to continue digging with the spoon. He thought that every minute mattered. The cold wind outside reminded him how fragile life was. Kira thought about her strength. Her body was tired, but her spirit was strong. She remembered the stories of warriors who survived hard times. She felt a small hope growing inside. The tapping sounds from Tom and his voice were like a light in the dark cave. Tom's fingers were sore, but he smiled. He was not just digging for a stranger. He was digging for a friend. In a world where humans and aliens often did not understand each other, this moment showed something different. It was a sign of hope and trust between two very different beings. The stars shone above, the colony. The night was quiet except for the sound of the spoon scratching the stones. Tom did not stop. Kira waited and breathed slowly. Both were strong in their own way. One was trapped under the rubble. The other was outside, fighting time with a small spoon. The story of the alien warrior and the human miner had just begun. Their struggle was a test of courage and kindness. It showed that no matter where someone came from, the will to help and survive was what truly mattered. The morning light slowly reached the mining colony. The sky was soft blue with light clouds. Birds and small creatures started to wake. But near the cave, the air was quiet and tense. Tom had been digging all night with his small spoon. His hands were sore and his clothes dirty. Still, he did not stop. Kira was trapped under the heavy rocks. She was tired, but heard the gentle scratching sound above her. Every small move of the spoon gave her hope. She tried to move her fingers and legs carefully. The pain was sharp, but she stayed calm. She knew that panicking would make things worse. Tom looked down at the small hole he had made. It was not much, but it was a way to breathe better. Kira could feel fresh air through the tiny space. Her chest felt lighter. She smiled inside even though she was still trapped. Tom's slow work was making a difference. The miners and workers from the colony started to gather near the cave. Some brought tools and small machines. They were surprised to see Tom working with a spoon. Many asked him why he did not wait for the machines. Tom replied, "Every moment counts. She needs help now." His voice was strong but kind. The workers began helping with small tools. They broke the smaller stones and cleared the dust. Tom kept digging carefully, making sure not to hurt Kira. He remembered the soft sound she made when she tapped the rocks. That was her way of saying she was there and still fighting. Kira thought about the humans and their strange ways. She had seen many different people in her travels. Some were kind and brave like Tom. Others did not care about those in trouble. She was glad to have a friend here. A friend who did not leave her alone in the dark. Time passed slowly underground. Kira felt hungry and thirsty, but she could survive without food for now. Her body was made to endure hard times. She used her thoughts to stay strong. She remembered her family's teachings about patience and hope. This helped her to stay awake and alert. Tom's muscles ached, but his heart was strong. He worked with steady hands, digging and removing stones. He thought about his own life and why he came to this colony. He wanted a better future for himself and the people around him. Helping Kira was now part of that future. The sun rose higher in the sky. Its light warmed the ground, but could not reach the cave deep below. Tom stopped for a moment to drink water. He looked at Kira's hand through the small hole. She smiled weakly. This gave him new energy to keep going. Nearby, a small group of children from the colony watched Tom. They whispered to each other about the brave human digging with a spoon. One child said, "He is like a hero." Another nodded and said, "Yes, he will save her." The story was already becoming part of the colony's hope. Kira felt her strength slowly returning. The small air pocket was helping her body heal. She moved her fingers again and tapped the rocks. Tom heard the sound and smiled. "I am here, Kira," he said. "Hold on, help is coming." The workers finally brought a small machine to the cave. It was loud and powerful. Tom thanked them, but asked them to be careful. "We cannot rush," he said. "She is close." The machine started to move stones carefully. The dust filled the air, but the workers wore masks. Kira heard the machine and felt vibrations in the ground. It scared her, but she knew it was for her rescue. Tom stayed close to the entrance, holding his spoon. He knew machines were strong but slow in tight spaces. His small tool was still important for careful work. Hours passed. The machine cleared more rocks. Tom and the workers worked together as a team. They moved stones and dirt, making a path, to reach Kira. The small hole grew bigger and more air flowed inside. Kira could now breathe deeply and feel the sun's warmth through the earth. Kira thought about the stories of her people. They believed that kindness and courage could change the world. Tom was showing her that belief was true. Even in a strange place, a human could be a true friend. She felt grateful and hopeful. Tom wiped sweat from his forehead. His hands were bleeding, but he smiled. The end was near. He could see a small part of Kira's face through the stones. She looked tired, but alive. "Almost there," he said. "Stay. Strong, friend." The workers cheered softly. They could see the light from the small opening growing. Kira moved her legs and arms slowly. She was ready to be free. Tom took a deep breath and used his spoon to clear the last stones. Suddenly, the ground shifted slightly. Some rocks moved. Kira felt the pressure ease. She stretched her hand out carefully. Tom grabbed it with his strong hands. Their eyes met for the first time. There was no fear, only trust and hope. Kira smiled softly and whispered, "Thank you." Tom replied, "You are a warrior. You are strong." Together they prepared for the final moments. The long wait was almost over. The bond between the alien warrior and the human miner was now unbreakable. The air was cool in the early morning as Tom carefully pulled at Kira's hand. She was weak, but her grip was firm. Slowly, Tom helped her out of the small hole they had made together. The stones crumbled gently around her as she emerged from the dark space where she had been trapped. Sunlight touched her skin for the first time in days. Kira blinked against the brightness but smiled with relief. Tom looked at her with a mix of joy and concern. He knew she had been through much pain and fear. "You are safe now," he said softly. Kira nodded, her voice quiet but strong. "Thank you, Tom. You did not give up on me." The two looked at each other, understanding that a bond had formed between them in the hardest moments. Workers nearby cheered quietly as Kira was pulled free. They brought water and blankets. Tom helped Kira sit down carefully. She drank slowly, her throat dry after days underground. Her eyes shone with gratitude and strength. The alien warrior was alive because of the small patient efforts of a human with a spoon. The colony's doctor soon arrived. He checked Kira's injuries and gave her medicine. He was surprised by her strong body and spirit. "You are lucky to be alive," he said. Kira smiled weakly. "I am lucky to have a friend like Tom." Tom blushed but looked proud. Their rescue was a sign of hope for everyone. Later, Kira and Tom sat together near the cave. Kira shared stories about her home planet. She spoke of great battles and strong warriors, but also of kindness and peace. Tom listened with wide eyes. He realized that even though they were very different, they shared many dreams and hopes. Kira asked about the colony and its people. Tom told her how humans worked hard to build new lives in this harsh place. He spoke of his family far away and his wish for a better future. Kira felt a deep respect for the humans who faced danger daily to create something new. As days passed, Kira grew stronger. She began helping the workers by using her skills to protect the colony. Tom and Kira often talked about the future. They dreamed of a world where humans and aliens worked side by side, learning from each other and growing together. The story of the rescue spread through the colony. People saw Kira and Tom as symbols of hope and friendship. Children looked up to them and wanted to be brave like the warrior and kind like the miner. The colony became a place where differences were not feared, but celebrated. One evening, as the sun set in orange and pink, Kira and Tom stood on a hill looking at the stars. "Thank you for saving me," Kira said. Tom smiled and replied, "No, thank you for teaching me what courage truly means." They knew their journey was only beginning, but together they felt ready for any challenge. In that quiet moment, the alien warrior and the human miner understood something important. Strength was not just about fighting or power. It was about hope, trust, and never giving up on each other. Their friendship was a light shining in the darkness, guiding the way to a better tomorrow. Days passed since Kira's rescue. The mining colony was busy with work and new challenges. Kira had recovered well, but she still felt the weight of what had happened. Being trapped under the rubble had changed her. She now saw life and people differently. She felt closer to the humans, especially to Tom, who had saved her. Tom and Kira worked together every day. Kira taught the workers how to stay safe and use their strength wisely. Her warrior skills helped the colony avoid many dangers. Tom was proud to see her strong again. He learned from her about courage and patience. The two became good friends, and their friendship inspired others in the colony. One morning, a new problem arose. A part of the mine had started to collapse. The ground shook and dust filled the air. Workers were trapped inside. Kira and Tom rushed to help. Kira's training and quick thinking saved many lives that day. She used her strength to move heavy rocks and clear paths. Tom helped guide the workers to safety. The colony was grateful. They saw how Kira and Tom worked as a team. Kira's alien skills and Tom's human kindness made them strong together. People began to trust each other more, no matter where they came from. The rescue had opened hearts and minds. After the rescue, Kira and Tom sat by the campfire. The stars shone bright in the clear sky. Kira told Tom about her world and her people's values. She spoke of honor, loyalty, and the power of hope. Tom listened closely, understanding that these ideas were not so different from human beliefs. Kira asked Tom about his family. He shared stories of his childhood and dreams for the future. They laughed and learned from each other. The bond between the alien warrior and the human miner grew stronger. They knew their friendship was rare and precious. One day, a group of new workers arrived at the colony. They were from different planets, and some did not trust aliens. Kira and Tom welcomed them warmly. They showed kindness and respect. Slowly, the newcomers began to change their minds. They saw that cooperation was better than fear. The colony became a place of peace and friendship. Kira and Tom helped build this new spirit. They worked to break down walls between people. The story of the rescue reminded everyone that even in the hardest times, kindness and courage could bring light. Kira thought often about the day she was trapped. She realized that the small spoon and Tom's patient digging had saved her life. It was not just strength but care and hope that mattered most. She wanted to share this lesson with everyone. Tom felt proud to be part of this new family. He was no longer just a miner, but a symbol of hope. His simple act of kindness had changed many lives. Together with Kira, he looked forward to a future full of promise. As the sun rose over the colony, Kira and Tom stood side by side. They watched the workers start their day. The planet was still harsh and dangerous, but the people were stronger. They had learned that friendship and trust could overcome fear and pain. The alien warrior and the human miner smiled at each other. Their journey was far from over, but they knew they could face anything together. Their story was not only about survival, but about hope, kindness, and a new beginning for all. The days in the mining colony moved steadily. The workers had settled into a new rhythm of life. Kira was no longer just a protector. She had become a symbol of hope and courage for many. Tom continued his work as a miner, but also helped teach others about kindness and patience. The two friends often met to talk about their dreams and plans. One morning, while walking near the edge of the colony, Kira noticed strange footprints on the rocky ground. They were large and different from any she had seen before. Her warrior senses told her something was not right. She called Tom over to see. Together, they examined the tracks carefully. They knew these signs could mean danger was coming. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. The colony was far from any known threat, but the unknown was always scary. Kira told him, "We must prepare. We cannot wait for danger to find us." Tom nodded and shared the news with the colony leaders. Everyone began to get ready, making sure machines and tools were ready in case of an attack. As the sun rose, a group of strange creatures appeared on the horizon. They were tall, with sharp eyes and quick movements. They looked like hunters, coming to claim the minerals from the mines. The colony workers gathered quickly, unsure how to face this new threat. Kira stood tall and calm, ready to defend her new home. Tom felt fear, but also courage. He remembered how he dug with a spoon to save Kira. Now, he wanted to help protect everyone. Kira and Tom spoke to the workers, sharing plans to keep safe. The colony built barriers and prepared to fight, if needed. The creatures moved closer, watching the colony carefully. Kira stepped forward, showing she was not afraid. She spoke with a strong voice, telling the creatures to leave and find peace instead of conflict. The creatures hesitated, surprised by her bravery. Tom joined Kira, standing beside her. He added, "We do not want to fight. We want to work together and share." The creatures looked at the two friends and saw something different from what they expected. Slowly, the tension began to ease. Over the next days, the creatures stayed near the colony, but did not attack. Kira and Tom met with them, learning their language and customs. They discovered the creatures only wanted to survive and find a home. The colony offered help and friendship. The workers watched as the colony changed. What could have been a battle turned into a chance for new friends. Kira and Tom had shown that courage and kindness could stop fear and bring peace. The colony grew stronger with every day. One evening, Kira and Tom sat on a hill, looking at the stars. Kira said, "I am glad we did not fight. Peace is stronger than any weapon." Tom smiled and replied, "Together, we can face anything. Our differences make us better." The story of the alien warrior and the human miner spread beyond the colony. Other planets heard of their courage and friendship. They became a symbol of hope in a universe that often feared the unknown. Kira and Tom continued to work together, building a future where all beings could live in peace. They knew challenges would come, but with trust and kindness, nothing was impossible. The sun set behind the mountains, casting a golden light over the colony. Kira and Tom stood side by side, ready for whatever the future held. Their story was not just about survival, but about the power of friendship to change the world. The colony had grown peaceful, but Kira and Tom knew they had to stay ready. One morning, a sudden alarm rang through the settlement. The ground shook beneath their feet. A powerful storm was coming fast. Dark clouds rolled over the mountains, bringing strong winds and heavy rain. The workers rushed to secure the buildings and machines. Kira helped guide everyone to safe places. Tom worked with others to protect the entrances and cover fragile equipment. The storm could cause more damage than any creature. Everyone felt the tension in the air. Kira looked to the sky with concern. The storms on this planet were known to be fierce. She thought about her time trapped under the rubble and how she survived by staying calm and hopeful. She told Tom, "We must stay strong and watch for each other." Tom nodded. "We will get through this together." As the storm hit, the wind howled like a wild beast. Rain fell in heavy sheets, flooding the ground and turning the rocks slippery. The colony's power flickered, and some machines stopped working. The workers stayed close, helping one another through the darkness. Kira and Tom made rounds, checking on everyone. They found a young worker trapped in a broken shelter. The roof was weak and ready to fall. Kira used her strength to lift the debris, while Tom helped the worker climb to safety. The small act of saving one person showed the heart of the colony. The storm raged for hours. The wind tore at the buildings and thunder shook the ground. But inside, the people stood firm. They helped each other with food, water, and comfort. Kira's calm voice and Tom's kind words kept hope alive. When the storm finally passed, the colony was wet and tired, but safe. The sun peeked through the clouds, bringing warm light. Workers began to repair the damage. Machines were fixed, and buildings were strengthened. The community worked as one. Kira and Tom walked through the colony, seeing the faces of those they helped. There was pride and relief in the air. The storm had tested their strength, but it also brought them closer. Kira said, "We can face storms and monsters alike if we stand together." Tom smiled and replied, "Yes, together we are strong." The experience made the colony stronger. New rules were made for safety, and the workers learned how to prepare for storms. Kira and Tom taught lessons about courage, kindness, and teamwork. Their story became part of the colony's spirit. One evening, as the stars shone bright, Kira and Tom sat by the fire. They talked about the challenges ahead. Kira said, "No matter what comes, we will face it side by side." Tom agreed. "Our friendship is the strongest shield." The storm was a reminder that life was not always easy, but with hope, trust, and care, even the darkest days could be overcome. Kira and Tom's story was no longer just about survival. It was about building a home where all could live in peace and strength. The colony slept under the calm sky, ready for a new day. Kira and Tom looked to the future, knowing that as long as they stood together, nothing could break them. The colony was alive with hope and new energy. After all the challenges, the people had grown stronger and closer. Kira and Tom had become leaders in their own way. They showed everyone that friendship could cross any difference. The future looked bright. One morning, the colony received a message from a nearby settlement. They asked for help. Their homes were in danger from wild storms, and they needed strong workers and protectors. Kira and Tom knew this was a chance to share what they had learned. They gathered a team of workers and prepared to leave. Kira's warrior skills and Tom's courage inspired many to join. The team was small but full of hope. Before leaving, Kira looked at Tom and said, "This is a new beginning for us." Tom smiled. "Together, we will help them." The journey to the neighboring settlement was long and hard. The land was rough and the weather was unpredictable. The team faced many obstacles but never lost hope. Kira and Tom led with strength and kindness. They helped each other and grew even closer as friends. When they reached the settlement, they saw the damage. Buildings were broken, and the people were tired and scared. Kira and Tom quickly got to work. Kira used her knowledge to repair shelters and teach safety. Tom helped organize the workers and brought food and water to those in need. The people of the settlement were grateful. They saw the friendship between Kira and Tom as a symbol of hope. Slowly, the settlement began to heal. The workers learned to trust and work together, just like in the mining colony. One evening, as the sun set, Kira and Tom stood on a hill overlooking the settlement. Kira said, "We have made a difference here." Tom nodded. "It is only the start. There are many more who need help and friendship." They knew their journey was far from over. The universe was wide and full of challenges. But they had learned that kindness and courage could change even the hardest worlds. Their story was not just theirs. It was for all who dreamed of peace and hope. Back in the mining colony, the people watched the stars and told the story of the alien warrior and the human miner. Their courage had inspired many. Children dreamed of bravery and friendship. The colony was no longer just a place to work. It was a home where hope grew. Kira and Tom returned to their home with new friends and stories. They smiled, knowing that, together, they could face anything. Their friendship was a light shining in the darkness, a promise of a better tomorrow. The stars twinkled above as Kira and Tom looked up. They knew that no matter where life took them, they would always stand, side by side. Their story was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and kindness could lead the way to a brighter future.